What is going on, everybody? Thank you for tuning in and joining us for another Tux Care live stream. I am your resident senior developer advocate, Chris Mars. Cheers to you. I got my amazing chickadee mug with my coffee. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, good any time of the day, wherever you're at. Hopefully, you're staying hydrated. It is a hot one out there. It is hot, hot, hot in Michigan, like 98, 99, 100 degrees Fahrenheit. So hopefully, if it's hot where you're at, you are staying hydrated. Drink water. If you don't already follow TuxCare on Twitter or LinkedIn, right down there, twitter.com/TuxCare _. Make sure that you're following your boy right there, twitter.com/Salt and Burnham. If you want to know about all the cool stuff that we're doing at TuxCare with endless lifecycle support, kernel care, and a new product, Secure Chain, that came out, definitely head over to tuxcare.com and learn how we can keep your systems protected and fix security vulnerabilities that are out there. I want to bring up a buddy of mine. I met this person many years ago. He and I have been friends. We've grown beards together. We've chatted about tattoos together. We've spoken at many events together. And that would be my buddy, Raymond Camden. What is going on, Ray?
Hey, good morning. I am in New Orleans and it is even hotter here. It's like
Ooh,
900 degrees or something.
holy. Let me check. I'm going to check the weather right now for where I'm at. It is saying it
Yeah,
is 90 degrees, and the high today is 98.
yeah, it's just hell. That's normally I love to walk around here, but no, I'm going to be hanging out in the hotel room until it's dark, pretty much.
Stay,
Which
stay
I'll
in
miss
where
because
the
nothing
AC is.
happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, nothing happens in New Orleans at night, so it'll be boring, right?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
it's totally boring. Like, you just walk around by yourself. Nothing's popping off. No way. I've been in New Orleans plenty of times.
absolutely.
I've seen it. It's boring. So what are we talking about, Ray? You said we could talk about AI and voice and some DevRel stuff and how we're kind of using that in our day-to-day. So let's jump into it. What does that mean? What is AI voice? I keep hearing a lot about this. There's companies out there that are doing this. I believe DeepGram is one. I think Vapey or Vapi is another. What does that mean? Like, what are we talking about?
Yeah. Actually, I don't think I said AI and voice. I just said AI.
Oh, maybe I was dreaming it then.
I I I will say, years ago, I used to work with Alexa, and in terms of DevRel, Alexa has, I guess, an incredible development platform. It is one of the best things to build for. I haven't really played in that area in a long time, but I remember I was shocked at like how great they did that. Especially when I tried to build for a Google device, their their DevX was not as good. I was
Yeah.
kind of taken aback by it. Um, but yeah, I have been using AI for a while now. Um when I first started playing with it a couple years ago, it was very like hands off.
Mhm.
I did a lot of API type stuff. So take a document and summarize it. When I first started looking at it, I was at Adobe working with PDFs. So PDFs were my jam. Everything was summarized PDFs, categorized PDFs, and I saw a lot of value in that. But again, I wasn't using it personally. I wasn't using
Mhm.
it in my day to day per se. It was all like, let's talk about this workflow that you may
Right.
have. It took me a lot to kind of like trust it, to kind of like say, to kind of find out what it could do for me in my day to day, if that makes sense.
Definitely. Yeah. So what tools are you using? Because I like for me, like I usually switch between ChatGPT and Claude, and it's usually to like generate like five super clever titles for something that I'm doing that I wouldn't even be able to think of, or it would take me hours to even think of it.
Yeah. It mainly depends on like where I'm working. Like, so at my last job, we had a Claude subscription. So I used Claude for everything.
Hmm.
And I would kind of use the desktop app when I wasn't sure what I was doing to like to kind of hash things out and so forth. And then when I figured out what I actually wanted to do, I would use the integration within Visual Studio Code and start
Mhm.
saying, "Hey, let's start spit some crap out now. Let's start actually working." I've been using Cursor a bit more lately, um, and it's interesting in terms of how they switch from like an IDE to more of a AI/agent driven development platform. It's really like I feel like I've just kind of made that switch in the last month or so.
Mhm.
So it's still incredibly new in my mind in terms of how I'm going to use this. As a Google developer expert, I get like $1,000 in free credits or whatever. So I have been using the APIs for a while in terms of their AI agents and such. Uh, I I use it. I
Mhm.
find their I find their DevX to be not as good as Cursor, not as good as some other tools, and it could be more just that I'm not quite as familiar with it.
Mhm. Is windsurf still a thing? Because like I know everybody was talking about windsurf last year, and I installed it. I had it right next to VS Code, and I was just jumping back and forth. Is that still a thing? Are people still using windsurf?
Couldn't tell you. I'm not using it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah,
What about?
it. hmm.
Oh, I was just asking about Codex because I know Codex is a big thing, but I've never even used it.
I've been Google with their anti-gravity tool, and that's their IDE and their CLI, and Cursor and Claude.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I've never heard of anti gravity. What is that all about?
That is the Gemini. All right. So Google's like their suite is Gemini, like other APIs or Gemini, blah, other models or Gemini, blah, blah, blah. Uh, and they had a Gemini CLI and they had a Visual Studio Code extension. Then they launched their own like fork of it, and it was Gemini something or another. They rebranded to Anti Gravity. They renamed their CLI. This is all like in the last couple months, so it's all pretty fresh.
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, I started using it a lot in the last month. Pretty much like when I left my last company and my access to Claude went away.
Oh,
Uh,
geez.
yeah, so yeah.
I'm trying to like get this to open. Come on, open up. I want to, yeah, let Google Chrome do this. I want to try and share my screen here. Come on. Like I have a new machine. I'm trying, like I've had it for a while, but
Yeah.
there's certain things like, when you get a new machine and like you had it for a while and there's like just certain things you don't do that it prompts you to get permission for. Well, it's sharing a screen. And if I share my screen, then it's going to totally kill
Yeah.
this session. So never mind. But if anybody wants to check that out, it is, I got the link here, antigravity.google.com. I'll put it in the chat and just
Yeah.
put it to every chat. And then I'll just put it back on the screen here. Show. So it's antigravity.google, and that is what Ray's talking about. I was using Gemini for a while, and I
Yeah.
don't know why I stopped using it. Um, I go back and forth between ChatGPT and Claude, and
Yeah.
Claude in the browser. I don't even have Claude desktop. Like I know a lot of people using Claude desktop. People at my org are using Claude desktop for things, but I use like Chat GPT for like I use it as a kind of sort of a replacement for Google. Like
Mhm.
it's like Chat GPT is my search engine. If I have a question, I don't even go to Google anymore and Google it,
Yeah.
right? I Chat GPT it. Or I tell people, oh, if you have a answer, because it's gonna filter all that stuff kind of through. Even if I'm doing like writing or blog post stuff or conference stuff, like here's my idea, come up with like a cool title,
Mhm.
um, or a cool title for a blog post that's clever. What else? Claude, I do it with like code things, like to break down some like an idea or break down like a function or like to explain things that are super high level to kind of bring it down. I do that, and it's more of a learning tool for me than
Mhm.
having Claude write the whole entire thing for me. I kind
Yeah.
of take little bits and pieces of different things and be like, okay, well, this is really wonky the way it looks. Explain to me what this is doing or how to do A, B, and C. That way I can use it as a learning tool opposed to like being a vibe coder.
I think that that's a great way of thinking about it. And in fact, I kind of talked about how I was a bit hands off, very API driven. I would also use ChatGPT, but it was like stupid crap. Like, hey,
Mhm.
summarize this whatever for me. Um, what really got me thinking more about using it for my own development was actually Python.
Mhm.
And I saw some Python code and the syntax made no sense to me. And I was like, crap, I can't Google syntax.
Right.
This is not something I could look up. I don't know what to do. And I was, oh, let me just try AI. And that is when I learned that Python lets you override arithmetic operators, which feels like a fabulous foot gun. Like
Yeah.
awesome and scary at the same time. But again, like I would not have been able to Google that. I had to switch to AI, and it explained it to me, and it made sense. And like that was like the light bulb moment for me because I remember 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago, I was at Microsoft Build, and they were showing a Copilot in Visual Studio Code, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna try this out. And I'm like,
Mhm.
hey, write me a vanilla JavaScript web component, like just a simple like hello world web, no frameworks, and it worked, and it spit out a web component using lit. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, you did not do what I say. No framework, just vanilla. And to its credit, it corrected, it spit one out, and I was like, cool, it's a snippet. I probably spent $5 in the machine demo code to make a snippet. I was not impressed, but
Yeah.
with that like Python example and started having it just look at code and talk to me about it, less writing code and more just reviewing it has been
Mhm.
just such like, oh God, this makes so much sense to me.
Yeah, I always say, and when I get in these conversations with AI, because like I haven't jumped on the hype train for AI. Like I just haven't. There's a lot of people
Mhm.
that haven't. A lot of us think that, the AI bubble is gonna pop, and then you got the other side, oh, it's not gonna pop, blah, 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 blah. But you've written 7, 8 books. And if you haven't had a chance to check out Raymond's books, definitely I'm gonna put this back up on the screen because it's a great site and it's awesome. Go to raymondcamden.com. I'm pretty sure you can get them on Amazon too, right? But raymondcamden.com, check out all the cool books that Ray has wrote, including like a whole library of cold fusion stuff. And I think you and I had this conversation. It was like a small conversation. I was like, people still use cold fusion? And you're like,
Yeah,
yeah, they sure
yeah,
do. And I'm like, oh, wow, that's cool. But on that topic of books, I'm a physical book collector. I love having
yeah.
physical books. I have a library full of paranormal books, all nonfiction research books, and then I have a whole library of web books, even like OG web books that I've had my whole
Mhm.
entire life, or web books from college from way, way, way back in the day. And I love collecting books from friends of mine, and then I have them sign it, and then I'll usually buy a second copy so I don't ruin the signed copy. But I always say, there was a time when we used to read books. You and I used to have books sitting right
Yeah.
next to us, web books, and we would look at it and read and flip through the examples and try to build something throughout the book. AI is just pulling from digital, in my opinion. Now, don't kill me
Mhm.
for this. Any of our viewers, don't at me. But I feel like all that AI is doing is honestly, it's pulling from those old resources. Some of it, right? Not all of it. It's pulling from old digitized books that you and I came up on, old blog posts, old tutorials, stuff like that. And the reason I say that is because last year I wrote an article. Well, I was working on a project, and it was for my fishing club. Yes, I am in a bass fishing club here in Michigan. I just came in 5th place as a co-angler. Shameless plug, but I was building something for our club website last year, and I was like, you know what? I'm not a Docker person. I've been a front end dev my whole life. I don't know if anybody can write a Docker file by heart or by, memorizing it and write it just without looking at some type of docs or something to help them. And I had Claude generate a Docker file for me. And luckily, since I do use VS Code, I have extensions in there that will, highlight bad code. I don't know if it was ESLint or was something else
Yeah.
or pretty. And I wouldn't have been prettier, but ESLint, and it highlighted the version of Node that Claude gave me. I was like, oh well, what's going on here? And I hovered over it, and it said that this version of Node has critical security vulnerabilities. Click this link to learn more. So it took me to Node's CVE page, and or it was either the CVE registry or Node CVE page, and it said like, hey, this version of Node is not safe. Upgrade to the latest patched version or the newest version that's supported, because anything that is current is supported by vendors of the community, and it's not if it's not end of life EOL. So I changed that Node version in that Docker file, and everything worked. I was finally secure. So it's one of those things where like, okay, Claude thinks that this version of Node is safe because it heard that or seen that in something. It hallucinated that it was okay to use, and then it gave it to me. But if you didn't have any of that tooling set up within your IDE, regardless if you're junior, mid, or a senior developer, that might slip past the cracks, and you could be unsecure. And that's kind of where like our product does come in, is that we patch all those end of life security vulnerabilities. But that's a huge thing right there, is that issue. And I was working with Claude this morning on how to fix something in my terminal in VS Code, and it gave me the wrong directions. I had to I said, all right, this isn't right. Let me actually dig into what's going on. I did it my way. I found the fix and I fixed it myself and told Claude, you were wrong. So I'm starting to see a lot more of that come through, just because it's you have to prompt engineering, right? You have to prompt these things so crisp and concise and specific to get what you want, that just saying, oh, hey, give me A, B, and C, or generate A, B, and C, it might not give you the results that you truly need. That was a lot. That was just a rant. Thanks for coming to the TED Talk.
I am pro and pragmatic for AI. Like, I use it every single day, but I'm also very pragmatic about it. Like, I very much, like you said, like you had the knowledge to know when it was wrong and be able to correct it. I don't ever see AI like killing the industry. Like, we'll still need jobs. Yes, there's a lot of layoffs happening. Happened to me like a month ago.
Right.
And I'm not sure it's a bubble. It's definitely a hype. And it will get to a point where it's just the norm and we kind of settle down a bit. But like, I look at things, I look at like previous hype cycles, cloud, serverless, and none of that is exciting anymore. But being that I was in tech before that, I sure as hell don't want to go back to pre-cloud. I don't want to go back to pre-serverless. Those things are part of my day-to-day and make my life absolutely a heck of a lot better than when I started back in the 90s. So I see 5 years from now, again, I'll be using AI every day. It won't have as much hype, but it'll still be there, and it'll be a part of my tool chain.
Yeah, no, and I totally agree with you on that. And I'm sure all of our viewers and listeners would fully agree with that. You and I are old school heads in this game. We've been doing it for a long time. So we were there from, especially like front end stuff, right? And CSS and JavaScript. Like before CSS, we were writing styles in line. Like if you didn't come up in the game in like 94, 95, 96 pre CSS, you declared your font family and your color inside the markup within a tag. I remember font size, and this was when they were teaching, all the books were teaching, all the tags were uppercase. None of it was lowercase, right? And it was all inline. Nothing was ever indented. And like font color would be a color, and then there was only so many colors of the hex decimals that you could use, I think, at that time. And then if you wanted to change your font size, it was font size equals +1, font size equals +2. Like there was no values of pixels and points and stuff like that. So like you said, you wouldn't want to go back to pre-cloud. I wouldn't want to go back to pre-CSS. So we see this hype and the hype train and all the hype news, and it stays like that for so long until something becomes established and it's really, really cool. Like CSS, and CSS is really, really cool. Even the JavaScript side, like before that, even with JavaScript, but you were doing DHTML. So my old school homies know what DHTML is. For everybody that's new, DHTML is dynamic hypertext markup language, which was like your JavaScript world. I remember DHTML, like there was a DHTML website, and you would find what you needed and copy and paste the snippet, and it would just do the thing. That was cool. Good old Windows 95, Windows 98 world. But I fully agree. there's part of me that thinks the AI bubble is going to pop, and I think it's a bubble. But like you said, it's definitely the hype, and it would, once it kind of levels out, and then we get on a new hype train, it's probably something that we wouldn't want to do go back to pre AI, just
Yeah.
because it made things better. Even though we had this rift in the job world, which you and I both know, we've lost roles because of AI and full focus, and then all these companies are coming back saying, "Oh, we screwed up. We
Yeah.
shouldn't have done this. We walked before we could crawl," type of thing.
Hmm.
And that's one of the problems I have with AI, because I've seen so many of our friends lose their job over AI, or even just developers in the community that are losing it, which is it's unfortunate.
Yeah. Having been in tech 30 years, this is the roughest I've seen it. And I'm
Yeah,
looking forward to getting past this. And again, like I am fully adopting the thing that is making it a little choppy in the water, so to speak. Uh, but yeah, I'm looking forward to things being stable and boring again. That
yeah.
would be nice.
We talked about agents a little bit, and I'm still not totally up on game when it comes to agents, and how, like, I hear a lot of people, "Oh yeah, I'm building with agents," or "I have like 5 agents building something for me," and it's just doing the thing. Like, I have a senior React developer here, and then I have a back end senior Java developer, and then I have like a middle person that handles server engineering, and they're all running these roles and these jobs, and they're just building something for me, instead of like creating a Claude Markdown file and having Claude do it for you. You alluded to this a little bit, and you said something about agents. Could you explain what agents are in a practical, pragmatic point of view?
It's my understanding is just multi-threading prompts. Like I know I have a lot of crap to do, and instead
Mhm.
of doing one and waiting and running, being able to fire all these things at once. I ran a process yesterday that took like 30 minutes, and it
Wow.
was a good reason. It was a huge code base. Uh, but with agents, I could do that and also do other things at the same time.
Mhm.
I'm not being stopped by it. One thing I hope that we as the industry get over is that like AI makes me more powerful, but I shouldn't be like working at 1,000 miles an hour. It's kind of like, oh, the robots are doing our work, so I could do more work. No, I should be able to relax a little bit.
Right.
it's, um, but yeah, that's kind of where I am in terms of how I think about it is what could I do at the same time so I could focus on something that I care about.
Yeah. So you're not only just using AI in your day to day, you also have agents running the AI for you, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So if I wanted to create an agent, like, what would be a good use case? Or like, let's say somebody wants to create an app or a website, something cool, something fun. Um, I don't know. Let's say an app that tracks all of the gas. Now, this is going to be an idea. I don't want anybody stealing this idea. An app that lists out all of the gas stations in a given area based on GPS, latitude, longitude, that are big enough. So think of like a Bucky's or a Love's, and it doesn't have to be just a truck stop, or maybe like a big Marathon or a bigger BP that has enough room to pull a truck and a boat in. So a double pump, where there's enough clearance to either swing the boat in or be able to get out to fill up your vehicle and your boat at the same time. Let's say we wanted to build an app to do that. And this might be kind of fun. You and I might be able to do this on stream one day. Where would someone start if they wanted to take the agent's route to build all of the pieces, instead of just saying, "Hey, Claude, do this based on the Claude Markdown file, and
Mhm.
go"? Like, what would be the first steps on that?
So I would actually start without AI for that because I love that you talked about a mapping thing. So a couple of jobs ago, I worked at Here, which is a horrible company name because where do you work? Oh, I work here. Capital HERE. They were all
It's like
about
that
maps.
conference.
Yeah, all about maps and APIs. And
Mhm.
the use case that you described is something that they need. Like a normal person Google Maps, I'm going to A to B, and like that's it. They don't care about anything else. But if you're managing a fleet, if you're managing trucks and stuff, so clearances matter. Being able to make a turn at a certain matter. Here had APIs for all of that. So just based on like my knowledge of the APIs out there, before I even go to Claude or any tool, I would go to a company like here and look at their APIs and see if they had now your specific use case of like having a trailer and all that. I feel like I'm pretty sure like they can cover that, but like that's where I would look first. And Google Maps, their APIs, I would dig deeper into that as first. But also, you can also ask ChatGPT, hey, I want to use an API to find stuff like this. Find me one. In fact, I did that yesterday using Gemini. I was looking up airplane APIs.
Nice.
And very similar type thing. I need this particular feature. I also get a free tier because I'm cheap. So
same,
yeah,
same, dude.
Yeah, that's how it helps. Yeah. Have you ever, as a DevRel, like reached out to a company and said, "Hey, can you give me a key? I'm just going to play with crap and blog it."
Dude, so I had this idea and I'm still working on it. I just had to put it in the back burner for something that I'm building for our org, and it's free. I'm building it as a PWA, but in order to use a feature, depending on the conference, I wouldn't be able to do it unless they gave me access to their API and their authorization, their tokens. Nobody, I don't know, but nobody's, I don't think is going to give you, oh yeah, sure, here, you can have the API information. You can have our authorization to help build your app. So I haven't done it yet. Have you?
Yeah, I've done it not for like a real app. Like I've approached companies like I want to blog about this, but like maybe your free tier is tiny and I need a little bit more just so I can test.
Yeah.
But it's always been for a blog post, not a production thing. And I've been pretty lucky in terms of being able to get stuff just by asking.
Yeah, I'm going to have to see if I can do that. I'm going to delete this comment because that's spam.
Never
Yeah,
hits ask.
Yeah, I know. I might do that because depending on the app I'm using or the app I'm building, depending on how the event runs a specific piece of how they do things, the app works flawlessly. But if some apps or some conferences gate some of the information that I need, I'll get a hash back, and that hash is a hash to the API, and you'll never be able to get that to decode that and all that stuff. So I'll have to ask, but I'd want to use it in the actual app. But the app wouldn't go out to the public. It would just be for the organization. And of course, I would tell the company like, "Hey, this is what I'm doing. This is what it's for." But there might be tons more logistics in that.
You mentioned PWA. I remember like for a while, I was getting a lot of talks on PWA back when I was still new. The demo that I would build would be the conference app that I want, which was just the freaking schedule, like nothing more. Like get rid of the marketing crap. Like I'm at the conference, I bought a ticket or I'm speaking, whatever. I want incredibly lightweight, like Web 1.0, just a freaking readable schedule, nothing more. Oh, and like the Wi-Fi info on top and where the bathrooms are, nothing else. I would kill for a conference schedule like that.
Were you at Stir Trek this year? I was only there for a day and then I had to split.
My conference attendance has been haphazard the last 2 years just because of job security and stuff like that.
Right. That makes sense. So Stir Trek, I'm going to shout out Jeff Blankenberg. I love Jeff. Jeff used to be a team lead of mine a couple years back. He and I have known each other for years. So Jeff Blankenberg runs Stir Trek in Columbus, Ohio. If you get a chance to go to Stir Trek, anybody listening, or if you get a chance to submit a talk next year. It's usually in May, the first week of May 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, or 5th, whatever the weekend or the Friday is. It's extremely hard to get into the event. But Jeff created a vibe coded an app for the conference. And it was a PWA. He showed it to me when we were at Codestock. Were you at Codestock this year too?
Yeah.
Did you go to Codestock? Okay. Yeah. So I think that might have been the last time you and I saw each other was in Codestock in Knoxville. But Jeff showed me the app prior to sending it out to everybody at Stir Trek, and it was awesome. It had all that information. It had schedule. It even had a it had a thing for the attendees it was either the attendees or the vendors to scan badges, and because yeah, I think it was one or the other to scan badges. It was really, really cool. So I'll have to see if I can find, let's see, Stir Trek. The app might be use our event app, Stir Trek app. So yeah, I'm just gonna put it in the chat and plug it because it was really, really cool. Put that there. Yeah, the whole app was really, really nice. Like I said, it was a PWA, so you could install it. If anybody isn't familiar with PWAs, it's a progressive web app. It's a web-based app that you can build. It's wrapped in, local APIs and stuff like that, so you don't have to submit an app to the Android store. You don't have to submit an app to the Apple store. You can have, your basic Chrome startup screen, splash screen, stuff like that. Feels just like an app, and you can install it on your home screen. So that didn't even go. That's weird. Either way, it's StirTrek.app. I'll put a banner up. StirTrek.app. Add the banner. I'll show that. So if you get a chance to download it, still on the home screen, it's really, really cool. It worked out really, really well for Jeff and them. But that he vibe coded that, and I think it didn't take really, really that long. The one issue I have with using Claude and trying to vibe code or just building something and then building on top of it from memory, it's like I have all these cool ideas to do like database stuff and different integrations. And to me, I figured Claude or another model or something would be able to do all of that work for me. But from what I'm gathering is at the end of the day, you have to do that. Like Claude isn't going to set up a database for you in Postgres, right? You have to actually physically do that and then give Claude the information. Or you want to set up something like with Stripe. Like that's something you physically have to go do and then bring all the information back to Claude that Claude is asking you for. Is there any way around that? Because when I want to save something in a database, Claude is always telling me, oh, you're just going to use like IndexedDB that's just built into the browser. So we're not using anything else. How do you get around that? So like it'll go out and do the things. Is that where the agent comes in?
That's where the MCP servers come in.
Okay.
It basically tells the AI agent, hey, if you need to do so-and-so with me, just come to me and I'll take care of it. At Webflow, our MCP server let you work with your websites, and it would build pages and it would do real work. And the MCP server was essentially the translator. So when your AI agent, when you say, I need to add a cat picture to my webpage, it knew to hand it off to the Webflow MCP server. MCP server knew how to translate that to API calls and would do it. So I'd be willing to bet all the database vendors have MCP servers where it could handle some of that work for you.
Would you have to build your own MCP server to talk to those MCP servers, or is it like you have to go to Postgres's MCP server, then you got to go to Stripe's MCP server, and then it kind of combines together?
Normally, it's pretty easy to add those. Like Webflow, like our instructions for adding the MCP server was like one command, you copy and paste it, like into Claude or Cursor or whatever. And once you do it once, typically these things will have an auth flow, which is all handled for you. Like as soon as you say, I want to do so-and-so with Webflow or do so-and-so with MySQL, that first time it knows to open the web browser, log you in and all that, and pass that information back. So typically it's very hands-off and pretty easy. I haven't done anything with databases yet, so I don't want to overpromise, but I'd be willing to bet you can do a lot of that fairly easy. I know Netlify, their database stuff, I think they talk about how via MCP you can actually do a lot of that and not have to worry about that. If I never create a database schema again, I'd be okay with that.
I don't mind creating a database schema if we're talking like Mongo. You know what I mean? If it's like a document database, and I'll just have. I did that for I do a talk on deploying UFO data to the cloud, and between like ChatGPT, my research books, and what I knew, I just had it create the schema for me. On like, give me 10. And it was sample data, not everything out there, but just give me 10 sightings, UFO sightings and abductions with this, and this in a JSON format.
Mhm.
and then I added to or fixed and stuff like that. So like I wouldn't mind doing that, but like when you're getting into like SQL data, like SQL schemas, like I don't have time for that. Like I don't
Yeah.
remember. I took a SQL class in college many years ago. I know my way around SQL and
Yeah.
Postgres, but I don't think I have the time to do joins and outer joins and inner joins and blah blah blah. I'd probably drop the database first before I did anything, not knowing any better. So
This is actually, I think, a great use case for AI because not really a database, but like Webflow had a CMS. And one of the demos I would do when I was talking about the MCP server there was, I created one for cats and I have like a name and a breed and an age. Can you just tell me what's missing? And I was like, oh, cats also have so and so property. You should probably add that. Like, duh.
oh, wow.
And the MCP server was actually able to just do it for me.
Yeah,
Um, for SQL in particular, I was doing some side work recently where I had to write a really gnarly SQL statement. I'm like, screw this. With the AI agent, it wrote it. Like, and I still had my domain knowledge enough to know I'm going to copy that SQL. I'm going to paste it into my SQL tool to run it and make sure it's cool. But there was no way I would have written that SQL myself,
yeah.
and but my AI tool did it perfectly.
That's awesome. So I know we were going to talk about Star Wars briefly. Have you built anything yet with AI in Star Wars? Because I would like to do something with like Lord of the Rings. Because like like a Lord of the Rings nerd. I do love Star Wars. I'm not a Trekkie. I'm a Wars person. I would do something for Lord of the Rings, or maybe Stranger Things or something like that. Kind of like in that same paranormal, cryptid, UFO type genre. Have you done anything for Star Wars?
Not really, but I will say for Dungeon Crawler Carl,
Hmm.
which is having a huge moment. Like I just discovered it like 6 months ago, and as soon as I discovered it, like once you Google once for one time or you like something on Facebook, it floods you. Uh, but for people who don't know, Dungeon Crawler Carl is a book series about a man and his cat who get put into like a real world RPG, and it's incredibly snarky. And one of the aspects of the book is that, like an RPG, if you do something like once, you get an achievement. And if you're a gamer, oh, I got an achievement because I killed 10 bosses or whatever. But the achievements are incredibly snarky. So I used AI and I used Chrome's on device AI to allow you to say something that you did, like I cleaned the cat litter, and you would hit the button, and it would come up with this achievement that is incredibly over the top, snarky, sarcastic about how wonderful you actually did a chore, like great. Uh, but it's that type of snark that I enjoy from the book, and it does it in that theme, and yeah, that's like the last kind of fun thing I did with AI.
That's awesome. Yeah, I saw this book in the bookstore, and I bought a book that looks like the cover, but it's not the same one. But it seems like there's
Yeah,
how many books are there? Like 8 books from this author. So, and I like the covers. The covers really catch my eye. So,
yeah, yeah.
but awesome, right? Well, I think we're coming up on time. Is there anything else that you want to plug besides your site, RaymondCamden.com?
No, just be kind and loving and open to each other.
Cool, awesome. Well, I appreciate that. Are you going to be at any events coming up anytime soon, or are you still kind of leveling out things?
It's, I am going to render ATL my first time. I'm speaking there as well. Need to buy
Okay,
my darn plane ticket today. I
yeah,
will. I definitely will.
cool. Awesome. We'll make sure that everybody, if you get a chance to attend Render, definitely check that out. Check out Ray's talk. If you get a chance to see Ray anywhere or get a chance to talk with him, awesome, awesome guy. Very awesome. Thanks again for all your time. We are going to be back next week with another stream. Eric Hanchett, my buddy Eric from AWS, is going to be on with me. And stay tuned. Thanks again, Ray. I really appreciate it. And
Cool.
with that, we are out. Peace.